You know, it's been almost 200 years now since that famous night when Paul Revere looked up into the church tower there in Boston and saw the lantern which signaled to him the approach of the enemy. Now, in the period of time since then, there have been a great many changes, but the one change that has been most important to all of us is the fact that today our two oceans, one on either side of the country, are no longer barriers to a sudden surprise attack. Now, let's watch this. Now, this is an enemy bomber. Now, what we saw there could happen to any of us. Fortunately, it is the responsibility of the United States Air Force to prevent such disasters. The old lantern of Paul Revere's time has given way today to such modern things as the electronic eye, which sweeps the sky both by day and by night to prevent the arrival of any unwelcome intruder. So let's look now at our all-important radar defense screen. To tell us of this, we are privileged to have as our guest on Science in Action, Brigadier General James W. Andrew, United States Air Force. Welcome to Science in Action, General Andrew.
Thank you, Dr. Harrell. Glad to be here.
Looking at this map over here, I can see that it must take a tremendous group in order to do all of the things that you have to do. We have some 3 million square miles of territory here in the United States, and just about 10,000 miles of both border and coastline completely around the country.
It's such a big job, Earl, that the Air Force has made the Air Defense Command a major command of the Air Force, with headquarters in Colorado Springs here, headed by a 4-star general, Benjamin W. Chidlaw. He has his command divided into 3 air defense forces. The Eastern Air Defense Force, made up of 3 air divisions, the Central Air Defense Force, made up of 5 air divisions, and the Western Air Defense Force, made up of 3 air divisions. This area is covered by a network of radar stations with overlapping areas, something like this.
In other words, then, if one of these radar stations should go out, then the radar station on either side could cover that area without any trouble.
That's right.
Now, let's take these 2 raid stands, this one an unknown ship, we don't know what it is, and this one an interceptor, and take them into the control room and see how they are able to be moved about on this giant map and how you're able to keep track of them that way. Now, this is your giant plotting board?
Yes, sir. That's huge table is marked off in squares, exactly like the geographical grid on the plotting board we just saw. Glancing over this board, you can tell what planes are in the air over a vast area, how fast they're going, as well as their direction and altitude. In time of actual attack...
Well, let's see. First, General, these people who are sitting here, these are your assistants in the operation of the control center.
That's correct. It takes a number of people to operate a control center like this. In time of actual attack, I'd be sitting up there on the balcony to the right of those 2 officers you see, just above the senior controller and his assistant.
Well, in other words, then, if you had to pull planes from one place, you could do it very quickly and easily.
That'd be a very simple job. All I have to do would be pick up a receiver and give the order.
And this is where you keep track of everything that's happened to a plane on this big board?
That's right. That man is indicating there the status of aircraft, radar stations, and so forth.
And we come back down to the board again. How many of these raid stands would you have on a board at a single time? In other words, would you have 50 aircraft in the air?
Oh, not normally. I'd say that would be a saturated raid if we had 50 raid stands. You can see that those are identified as friendly for the most part. There he's putting one up out there now that looks like an unknown.
That is similar to our unknown that we had right here.
That is, exactly. It has a yellow designator on top and is moving in toward our coastline. Yes, there he's put up an identification. It's unknown.
And then the next thing he would do is what, send up an interceptor?
Well, he wouldn't send him up, but the direction center would. Yes, there he actually goes. He's in the process of making his interception right now. That looks like a 94C, an all-weather fighter interceptor. Yes, there you see the fighter raid stand going out to make the interception with the unknown. He's on his way out now.
Let's see, 25, that's 250 knots.
Right.
He's moving them closer.
Yes, they're moving closer together. You can see from the arrows there the direction in which they're moving. Now they're getting rather close together now.
These people, they are associated agencies?
They are indeed. We have representatives from the Civil Aeronautics Association, the FCDA, the Federal Civil Defense Administration, the Air Rescue Service, and so forth. In case of an actual attack, they'd be mighty busy people.
Two stands are coming closer all the time. That means that the interceptor is getting up to the unknown aircraft. And
yes, there he is. Obviously, the fighter now has him in sight. You see, he's pulled up his speed brakes, and he should be headed for home right now.
Oh, he's peeling off?
Yeah, there he goes now. That's a 94C Starfire, one of our latest type, straight wing, supersonic interceptors. We get him back to the field as soon as we can. Here he comes into land. He's going to refuel, reload his rockets, and be ready to go.
Oh, that parachute there, that's something I haven't seen very often.
Yes, I'm glad you noticed that. That's a drogue chute. That plane comes in pretty fast, about 135 knots, and we have to have that to save his brakes.
Well, now, since we've identified the aircraft, then we can change this from yellow to green, and everything is all right.
That's a good idea. We're okay now.
In other words, then, radar can only warn us. It may keep us from a surprise attack, but on the other hand, if an attack does come, every one of us has to be ready to do the thing that we will need to do.
That's exactly right.
Well, General Andrew, I want to thank you for coming to Science in Action to tell us about these matters.
Thank you, Dr. Harold. Dr. Harold, I've enjoyed it very much.
I'll be back in just a moment with the Animal of the Week.